Hi, this is Kim Pinkney and welcome to my channel. Well, I am going to be trying to finish up this particular image here. This is Syd The Kyd, one of my daughter's favorite artists, and she asked me if I would do a portrait for her, or rather she wanted just some framed art for her house. And I have this really cute hand-drawn picture of Johnny Depp that I did, and I didn't want to give it up, and she's like, well, I don't want this woman abuser in my house anyway, and I'm like, okay, well, let me make something else for you, something that she would love. So that is what I'm working on today. I'm going to be using charcoal and a 6H pencil. I also will be throwing in some, if I've got time, I'm going to throw in some loose charcoal so that it gives it a little bit more depth, and I'll be applying that with a paintbrush. So let me go ahead and get started. I'm just finding my source images again because I should have did that beforehand and I didn't. Okay, here we go. And if you have any questions, just let me know in the comments and I will answer as best I can. You will notice right off the bat, I can't draw a gun to save my life. Pretty sad. Definitely not something I'm proud of, but then again, you know, it is a gun, and, you know. But part of the reason why I'm drawing a gun is that I'm going to have musical notes wisp like from the barrels. So it may be her name, Syd. And that's how I kind of make things uniquely my own. Is like I'll find my source images, splice them together, and then add a little something to it. Something that is just pretty much unique to the image. I'm also using a 0.5 Papermate pencil. I just hate sharpening pencils. It kind of sucks. Okay, so I noticed right off the bat my barrel is just a little too huge for a revolver, especially compared to the one that's right next to it. So I need to downsize and correct some of this stuff. So just bear with me. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And if you have any questions or comments or just want to greet me, that's cool. I'd love to hear from you guys. If there's anything that you'd like to see, if you came for a t-shirt video, let me know and I'll put one out, or a fabric drawing video, because there is a picture that I want to do of All Might, and I want to put him on my bag, not my bag, I'm sorry, my jacket. It's like very different from the bag, isn't it, Kim? Let's see, so the barrel, I think, will be about this big. Because it is supposedly facing forward towards us, or at least a little bit off. There we go. It should be a little bit bigger. But, let's see, compared to her eye, let's see, I'm just measuring the barrel. It's like twice the size of her eye. So if I take two eyes, and then I'll take her eye, this thing was the right size. Okay. Alrighty then, it just gets better and better. Okay, alright, so let me just make it this big. Okay, that does not sound like what I want to listen to. Give me a second, I just gotta adjust my music. It's got enough energy to wake me up, but it's not what I want to hear this morning. Come on. Come on. It's being difficult. There we go. Let me see if I can throw in some older stuff here. We'll start there. There we go. Maybe it's just something a little different than what I've been hearing the past couple weeks. I am listening to Epidemic Sound, and I have a subscription with this service where I can use their music and my videos on YouTube. I'm paying for it, and it's not bad. It's like 15 bucks for my subscription, and you know, when these people get discovered and become famous, you know, I still will be able to retain, you know, I'll still be able to have their music that I've already, you know, used before on my YouTube channel. So, at least in the video. Okay, so I'm going to have wisps coming up like that. It'll just be going into like musical note type of things. I keep telling myself that I was going to set up a, what is it called? One of these, where you could talk to people. I forget what it's called, like, no, I'm always turning it off. My son uses it to chat with, and set up one of these little chat thingies so that you guys don't have to type in the comments. And I've been putting it off and putting it off, putting it off. I remember I tried to set something up a while back and I failed miserably. But that's no excuse. So I just got to put that on my agenda to do today. Okay, so now changing some of the stuff around. Let's see, I might end up having to just adjust the fingers just a bit. Okay, this is part of this part of the revolver. This is black. Yeah, usually I do a rough sketch, and then I just start to solidify the lines. But I think I want to get a lot cleaner with my lines. And I've also started a new sketchbook, one with that's bound where I can't rip pages out. And I don't know if the images are going to be just line art, where I'm going to be turning them into coloring book pages. Just be like kind of random crap that I usually draw. Well, I don't want to say usually draw. It's like I'll find an image that I like, and then I'll add like weird things to it. Like people get, and it's not, I guess a lot of YouTubers or artists, they draw like some of the same stuff that I do. I love the sci-fi, things like that, but I'm trying to draw more people of color, more black folks, Asians, Hispanics, things like that, because you get, and just people who have dark skin. So expect to see a little bit more of that in my channel. It's just that you can get the lighter skins virtually everywhere, but very few people give that love dedicated to people who have darker skin tones. And you can do a lot with dark skin tones. It's just learning how to use the colors properly to get that variety. And it's refreshing to see people who acknowledge and capture the beauty of others who are different from themselves. So I kind of like that. I didn't grow up with a lot of diversity as a young child. So when I was growing up, I drew a lot of white people. A lot of white people. Like every image that I drew was of a white person, because that was what I was around. And one of the most disturbing things I've ever heard from my mom was that she said that I hated myself because I drew white people. And I'm like, no, I don't hate myself. And it hurt my feelings. I'm like, I just draw what I like. I draw what I see. I draw what I thought was beauty, because that's what I was taught. And, or, you know, what you see in the media, especially when you grow up and most of your cartoons are of white people. You go to school in a predominantly, well, actually I had an ethnic mix in my school. And, which is, you know, no biggie deal. I had like a lot of friends and stuff. Or I was really selective with my friends, one or the other, I can't remember. I was a stupid little kid. But I drew pictures that I could find, and a lot of them were of white people. My cartoon characters, some of my favorites were white. And then when I sat down and was coloring, or rather drawing, just a few of my favorite cartoons from when I was a kid, I noticed that my shows didn't have a lot of black people in them. And then there were some that didn't have any at all. And I thought it was kind of strange. It's like, how do you have a person who's in the jungle and there's no black people around? You know, it's like, what? Like, Disney did it. They made a Tarzan movie, and it had absolutely no Africans in it. Or no people from... see, I'm assuming it's Africa that they were capturing. I'm like, how do you do that? And even of the natives that were in that vicinity, there wasn't a single one around. It's like, how do you do that? How do you capture an entire country and not capture its people? Jungle Book at least had natives, you know, the natives in the area, and Mowgli got to hang with them. But it's like, I don't know, it's just things like that were subliminal. And I just felt like, I can't do this. I can't draw the people that you know, that I'd like to draw. I'd like to show more women of color in the cartoons back in the day. And there really weren't very many. They were side characters and bit people, you know, and I'm like, oh, okay, all right, who almost contributed next to nothing to the show. And I'm like, man, that's kind of rough. And it's the women that I'm focused more on. I mean, they had little black boys in there sometimes. I can't find my blending stuff. God, dandruff. Oh, there they are. Okay. There's a couple in here. Yeah, and I mean, I could choose like the Captain Planet guy cartoon, because I liked that one for a while. Because it had decent animation. Bionic 6, I loved that one. That was another one I would watch. I loved Captain N, the Game Master, but they didn't have any black folk. And no black women. And the closest thing to a black woman was Mother Brain. And I'm like, she is not the one I want to draw. I kind of want to draw her. Because I liked the character. I liked the bad guy. I liked that she had sass and stuff like that. But I'm like, this is not how I want to depict black women. So I fell back on like the Josie and the Pussycats. I wanted to do Captain Caveman, but I'm not sure. And the Teen Angels. Um, and I was even going to do one of the Robotech chicks. And I was like, when I say one, there was only one. And I'm like, wow. I could do the Proud Family and stuff, but that wasn't what I grew up with. That wasn't one of my Saturday morning cartoons when I was a kid. So I was kind of disappointed that I really didn't have those kind of role models. Not that I expected them to be a role model, because I didn't watch them for my morality. I watched them because that was the thing to do when you're a kid. Oh, I'm using a 2B charcoal just to get that extra black in there. And then I'll also be using my loose charcoal as well. So what I'd like to do is just start creating stories that have more black characters, more mixed relationships. It's like, I know my kids are older. My son loves anime, and so he draws lots of anime characters. But I wouldn't go around telling him that he hates himself because he draws anime characters. It's just a mean thing to say to a kid. I mean, I thought I had and that's part of the reason why I didn't show off my art, especially to my mom. I knew, when I was a kid, I had to keep explaining what I was drawing. It's like, what are you drawing? Like, oh, it's a centaur. It's a centaur. It's a half man, half horse. And I got laughed at. I'm like, really? Really? You don't like fantasy? You don't know fantasy? This is the person who laughed at me was my dad. And I told him that's one of the things I was drawing, and I was so proud of myself for drawing it. Because my friends didn't draw that stuff. Not that I knew of, not that I've seen. I liked fantasy. My mom wrote a little bit of fantasy. I think she did. But she watched a lot of fantasy. I mean, she loved Star Trek. That was one of the things that we would watch after 12 when adult programming kicked in. In the afternoons, it would revert back to adult programming. So it's like you get your Saturday mornings when you can, kid. You get up early, you didn't sleep in, you get your cereal, eat that, or bring it in front of the TV if you're lucky. You could do that. I don't think I was lucky like that. Not until later. And you try to catch your cartoons when you can. CBS, NBC, let's see, and ABC was where you caught these things. And you only had 4 hours, and you had to be very selective on what you watched, because you'd have to flit from channel to channel to watch anything. Sometimes two of the really good cartoons would come on at the same time. And, I always kind of felt cheated when I had to, when they had Scooby-Doo or something like that on, because Scooby-Doo came on during the afternoon. And it's like, I've watched Scooby-Doo for decades. Because they didn't have anything else on. I guess they didn't trust other programming. And I always wondered, why were they always wearing the same thing? It's like, did they have a closet full of the same clothes? It just didn't make any sense. So I gravitated to shows like Gem, In The Holograms, because every now and then they would change their clothes. I liked when characters would change. They'd change their clothes. And for some reason people think that if you change their clothes, you change their personality. You change who they are. So we will always know Thelma for her glasses. And I liked Thelma because I had glasses too. I thought that was kind of a crappy weakness until I lost my glasses. She couldn't see anything without her glasses, so she was pretty much useless if she didn't have her glasses. And I could relate, so, which is really sad. I'm like, that's stupid. That's a stupid weakness. Yeah, you lose your glasses, and you see how well you move around in the dark and among crazy people. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I empathized with her. But I liked when they got to the point where I guess they'd done everything that they could think of. Then they started bringing in guests. So you would see guests from the 60s popping in, 60s, late 70s. Like, what was his name? The guy from the Monkees. Casey Jones. Not Casey Jones is the Davy Jones. Like Davy Jones's locker type of thing. One of those monkey guys. And then they would have just like Boris Karloff or just crazy crap like that. Mama Cass. You know? I'm surprised they didn't have the like they did with the Muppet Show, which was awesome. That they didn't use the cast of Star Wars like they did. Like Luke Skywalker and the robots. I'm surprised they didn't use them. Just give them time. They would have figured it out. They would have figured out how to work that into the storyline. They took whoever was popular at the time and threw them in there. And that was kind of cool. They had Batman and Robin. Like, really? Batman and Robin. You know, and it would be kind of funny since they still, to this day, still do Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo is out still. If they would take, like, people who, like, Justin Bieber, or, you know, people who are, like, on YouTube, and throw them in there as well. You know, guest stars. The stars from Ghost Adventures on Scooby-Doo. It's like, that's fake, that's fake. Oh, yeah, that's Professor Hyde White, definitely. You know, things like that. That would be so funny. Just taking people nowadays in there. We've got President Trump. Yeah, I watched Scooby-Doo in all its carnations, and they didn't have any black folks either. So I kind of assumed that Scooby-Doo was black. He's brown. He's passing. You take your heroes where you can get them. But that also promotes, even though it doesn't represent, it still kind of promotes diversity in a way. I mean, it's like you liking someone beyond your own tone and stuff. I guess that's what you can say. Or to justify it. Not that I really want to justify it, but I don't know. I just thought it would have been nice to have a little bit more representation. Something that wasn't really clownish, like, what was that called? The Fat Albert kids, the Globetrotters. Globetrotters were cool, but they were clowns. Mr. T was like one of the first few serious headlining black people cartoon. You know, a person of color cartoon. All the others were like clowns. You know, playing for laughs. You know, Mr. T like made everybody take him seriously, and that was pretty cool. We didn't have that. You know, it wasn't worth watching if it wasn't, you know, if he made you uncomfortable, and he made a lot of people uncomfortable. You know, he was intimidating. So and I didn't remember seeing very many Asian people either. I mean, they had like the Johnny Quest kid, Haji. I liked him. but I like Johnny Quest more. I don't know, those kids got into some stuff. And I think even Johnny got whoopings. I can't remember. I remember I could relate to him for something. I'm like, I got whoopings too. I don't know if he was more grounded than whooping, you know, type of thing. But it was definitely an interesting cartoon. And then Venture Brothers, you know, they came out, and I'm like, wow, this is like Johnny Quest, which is cool. It was kind of hard to understand their relationships and stuff like that too, but you know, I got over it. Whatever. It was more of a boys' cartoon anyway. I watched it every now and then when it was out, but it's like cartoons would come and go so fast. We were you were lucky to even catch an ending, and there weren't many. There weren't any actually. It's like things just kind of faded away. It's like it just didn't come on anymore. And you just have to take it for granted that, well, your cartoon's over. And it's sad that they never told anybody why. You know, you find out years later, oh, it was just too violent. Well, it's not too violent as I beat up my brother, you know, or get beaten up by my brother or something. You know, he never beat me up. He wanted to, I'm sure, several times. I did some squirrely crap when I was little. But anyway, I digress. But yeah, they said that the cartoon was too violent. Bugs Bunny was some violent crap. Where people would shoot themselves in the head or hit each other with hammers and stuff like that. That was some violent mess. And that I can agree with. But, you know, you're looking at a couple different eras. My gun looks like crap. This should, like, be closer together. There should be like this little... There we go. I think I'm getting it. It's like, you know, it's a gun. You know, it's a gun. If it's pointing at you, you're not going to look at it going, oh, shite. Your thing is a little off. You should shade it a little bit more. You're not going to, when a gun's pointed at you. Let me stop. I have no excuse. That's why I need to diversify my art. So my sketchbook that I'm creating now is going to have full body poses, so I can practice my poses and my anatomy. Usually when I do a sketchbook, it's like totally random crap. Well, not crap, but you know, it's just random stuff, random drawings that have no meaning. And so now I'll have random drawings with no meaning, but they'll be full body pictures. And I should make a double thing where I need to color it, do it in color. That's what I should do. Yeah, that's the ticket. Okay, I gotta bring this down a little bit. Let's see. So what I'm doing here is trying to do kind of like a perspective type of thing, but I only have so much room because when I put my what is that thing called? The white border around mat. When I put the mat on, I have to have at least some space around in order for it to fit. Let's see, and this is the jacket. Yeah, I told my daughter that I was drawing her something that she'd like, and I asked her, "Do you want to know what it is?" She's like, "No, surprise me." And I'm like, "You sure you don't want to know what it is? I'm working really hard on it." Anyway, also, I think my sketchbook should have. Oh God, dandruff! The trigger's too small. Okay, let me bring this down a little bit. There we go. Yeah, I think I should draw some characters. Um, some. Oh, I gotta say this. The Shira cartoon. I was watching it, and call me weird, but I like it. I like it. People, I've come across some videos where people are like hating on it really hardcore. Now I'm only on episode 4, but I will be increasing, I will be watching the rest of it. And I don't think it's that bad. They made it like it's the devil. I mean, it's like, oh, you took the original and you made it into some social justice warrior stuff, and it's so cringeworthy, and it's so this and it's so that. And I was kind of disappointed in these people because it's for kids, supposedly. And I guess one lady, she has a kid, and she says that her kid stopped watching that and started watching the original. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't think it should have been named Shira, but because it's like, have some originality. That could have been something like really cool had they have just created a whole nother character instead of trying to capitalize on an old character, because people have expectations that it's going to be as good as or the same as what you just named it. And I think they did a good job. I didn't really care too much for the Shira cartoon. It was kind of lame. And He-Man was kind of lame too. When you got Thundercats and you compare it to those things, it's like, no. Thundercats was the bomb. The original one. Because we were glad to have it back in the day. I mean, when your cartoons are being canceled left and right, and then you're given subliminal messages like, don't drown your food, or I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill. It's the Schoolhouse Rock, which was cool because I learned a lot of stuff. I know the preamble from heart by heart because they played that video so often. And I can recite it too, and I almost want to. But yeah, because of Schoolhouse Rock, I learned all that stuff, but that took away valuable cartoon time. I mean, have that the Schoolhouse Rock at other times, where it's not taking up valuable time. Let it take up some of the adult time, because it's like by noon. Thank goodness we don't have this problem anymore. this cartoon shortage. They're keeping me from my cartoons. Adult crap would come on around noon, and sometimes even sooner if there was a game going on. It's like, who cares what kids think? Oh, and yeah, the president gets shot. It's like, who cares what the kids think? Who cares about them watching their cartoon? This is important. Or there's problems in the Middle East. Yeah, bump the kids' cartoons. We're gonna do our jobs. Yeah, I was kind of upset when President got shot, because then my cartoons got screwed up. And yeah, that's all they would talk about. And it's like, okay, bump the cartoons. They're all gone. Sorry, kids. You're on your own. Don't be a terrorist. Don't cause problems in the Middle East. Solve the problem in the Middle East, and you'll have your cartoons back. That sort of kind of thing. I don't know. But, yeah, so after all that babbling, I decided I'll go ahead and make my cartoon, my sketchbook into something a little bit more substantial. Like I just drew a picture of a woman who's got like a lot of triangles in the picture. And I thought that would be kind of cool to have, just something different. And then I'm like thinking, that's not so different, Kim. You have that all the time. Anyway, but I think coming up with ideas for new characters would be fun and a lot more interesting, because I never know where I'm going to take my characters. But another thing I was going to whine about the Shira cartoon was that those who criticize, they don't draw, they don't do cartoons, they don't cartoon, they don't make, they're not a maker of cartoons, so they don't understand the difficulty that goes into making these things, to creating a character, to try to have it be universally liked by everybody. You know, same thing with some of the comic book guys that I come across. They bash certain artists and stuff like that. And yeah, they're supposed to be industry professionals and stuff like that. These artists that they're bashing. But it's like, until you can put out something successful that everybody likes, you can make a lot of money and it becomes iconic, like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, things like that. And even then, they weren't always universally liked either. You know, they were just the flagship creatures of Marvel or DC or whatever. And so I am going to be the last person in the world to bash somebody's cartoon. I mean, if you get in animation, oh, they got limited animation, they have this, they have that, and they were just tearing this cartoon apart. And I tried making an animated cartoon, and I was glad to get 2 seconds of a cartoon out. 2 seconds. 2 seconds. It took me hours to get that as far as I did, and I was glad to have it. You know, it's not easy. It's not cheap. And these people were just bashing it left and right. And I'm like, you guys don't get it. And maybe they do. Maybe it's just that I don't want to see their perspective. But I do, in a sense. But I thought it was unfair, because until you try to put out a cartoon and make the effort to come up with a storyline that doesn't make you cringe, you know, that doesn't seem typical, you know, some people are kind of out of touch with what kids can handle. Yeah, the world has gotten a lot edgier nowadays. I remember when my daughter was like, she couldn't have been more than 4. And we asked her, so what do you do on a date? And everything was normal. You get dressed up. You go get, you know, you go out to eat. You know, maybe you go to a movie, you know, things like that. And we're like, yeah. And then she says, then you go home and have sex. And we're like, no, that's not what you do. That's not what you do. You don't have to. It's like, wait, what? You know, and she's only 4. And but that's what you see. You know, that's, once you turn off the slick world of, you know, once your Saturday morning cartoons go off, you know, and the nighttime comes and there's no cartoons anymore, you know, that sort of thing, in the afternoons and stuff like that, you know, that's what they see. You know, kid programming stops at a certain time. I don't know why, but it does. And we were laughing, but it was like, oh no, no. That's not what you do, but that's what you see. So it's like, I liked that we have Cartoon Network. You know, when it first came out, it was 1, 2, 3, 4. It was pretty awesome. I mean, it's like, wow, we finally have like in Boomerang, when that first came out, 24 hours worth of cartoons. You have your own network full of cartoons. You know, it's like, what can be bad about this? You know, cartoons, they would go on for like multiple episodes so they could go into syndication, and it still, you know, kept itself relevant and fresh and stuff like that, where they could just keep showing reruns over and over and over again. You know, but it's like they act like kids didn't catch on to that. It's like, yeah, I've seen all of these. Oh, the kids will never notice. And it's just, but nowadays you can go on YouTube, you can go virtually anywhere online and find cartoons. But these people were such snobs. Oh, I didn't like it. I'm done with it. And it's like, it was so mean. Like Mean Girls, like making fun of stuff. And it wasn't in their comments, the comments in there jumped on the bandwagon and just got meaner and meaner. And it's like, you don't have to do that. You know, all you have to do is come up with something that people would like. So, you know, that it would make an interesting challenge if they stopped complaining about stuff and start doing stuff. You know, it's really easy to tear things apart, but when it comes down to having to create it. Give your input. You know, speak your mind. Do something that's constructive instead of, you know, destructive. I didn't think the animation was that bad. It's limited animation, yes. You know, it's not as bad as some of the 80s cartoons where they just recycle the same stuff. Scooby-Doo has the same walk cycle with all of them walking in a row with their individual walks and stuff for like decades. And yet did they complain about that? No. You know, even some of my favorites like Thundar the Barbarian, they recycled run cycles. You know, like, oh, they're running through the woods. But they would always be jumping over the same logs, jumping over the same stuff. You know, it's not easy to create stuff. It really isn't. And they made it sound like it was like, you know, oh, this is what they should have done. You know, they didn't even offer that kind of suggestion that I could tell. But they were like, oh, this is so awful. This is so bad. This is so terrible. And I've seen worse, but it's like, before you bash something, kind of give it I know you don't want to give it a chance because you don't like it, but also take in consideration that, you know, it's a different demographic that they're catering to. You know, your 4-year-old kid may not be into it, but somebody else might be. I don't know. A lot of the cartoons went downhill with Nickelodeon. I hated the way they were drawn. When you go from Thundar the Barbarian to, God, just pick any of those shows. Rugrats. Ugh. The animation was ugly. The characters were ugly. And that was definitely outside my demographic. I was like, I do not like this show. But some people loved it. They loved that awful art. And then cartoons just went bad to worse. I mean, the artwork was horrible. I don't know. But each to their own. You know, you're entitled to like what you like. You know, the heart wants what it wants. My heart didn't want none of that junk. So I took to drawing my own stuff. And just living in my own imagination. And one day, my artwork improved. Like, I got that eye. Like, it's like, okay, Kim, this is out of proportion. This is out of proportion. This hand's way bigger than it should be. This hand is smaller than it should be. This gun looks wonky. Things like that. But yeah, I just, at first I was like, okay, I haven't seen the cartoon, so I can't jump on the bashing bandwagon. But when I did watch it, I didn't think it was as bad as they made it out to be. They just got on this mean girl rant and just went absolutely bonkers. And it's the video I'm talking about is I'm done with Shira. We're done with Shira, and I like the bad guys. They are cringy, but also it I don't know. It has room for character growth. You know, it's like there's a character that's conflicted on whether or not she gives away her best friend. You know, this person that she grew up with, type of thing. And here a friend becomes villain, but has the potential to become a good guy, an ally. And but all they could see are the petty faults and stuff of everything. It's like they don't. And some of them conceded, like, okay, I do like some characters, and I do like this, I do like that, but that was fewer and far between for them. I'm like, that's as it is. Not everybody likes SpongeBob SquarePants, and you don't have to. That's your choice. And it's nice to have a choice. It's nice, and you're entitled to your opinion, but I just didn't think it was as bad as they made it out to be. My 2 cents. Especially when you try to come up with your own cartoon and get your own stuff to come to life. It's not easy. It takes a lot of time, a lot of dedication. You have to have a group of people who are all on the same wavelength. Where they got to put their egos aside and do what's right for the story. Tell the story, get that out there, and get paid. But they were saying that it was more marketing towards like toys, and all the cartoons were like that. Every cartoon that comes out is like that. They market towards toys. They want to try to squeeze as much money out as they possibly can. And there's nothing wrong with that. Now, if your toys are like Todd McFarlane, that's tight. Yeah, squeeze that, squeeze it. But I like Walking Dead, and I was this close to buying a Glenn doll because I only watched it for him. That's my secret shame. I said, as soon as they kill off Glenn, I'm done. I am so done. Don't kill off the Glenn. And sure enough, they played with my emotions, and then they done did the deal. And I'm done. I'm not watching this anymore. Y'all done messed up. I'm done. I'm finished. And I haven't watched it since, which is really sad. Okay, that's not true. I've watched a little bit of it. But don't get me started on The Walking Dead, or what is it called? Not The Walking Dead. The other stupid one. My friend got me into watching that. Fear the Walking Dead. Oh my gosh, how not to make a freaking character. If you watch Fear the Walking Dead, let me know, because I don't want to bash something that somebody likes, but my god, I'm going to tear that crap apart. I can't stand that family. I can't stand them. I can't stand them. If you watch Fear the Walking Dead, I'm sorry, you're going to have to go. I don't want to ruin anything, but every time something bad happened, I was happy. I was like, yeah, get them. Get rid of these people. These people are toxic. Forget that the world has gone to hell in a handbasket, but this family's even worse than the zombies. Everywhere they go. And I started looking at them, I'm like, everywhere they go, they ruin it for everybody. It didn't matter. It just freaking ruined it. Oh, they were terrible people. And then they turned on each other. It's like just like evil does. They turn on each other. Okay, I'm ranting to myself. But anyway, yeah, that's what I guess these are some of the things that come across my mind as I'm drawing, listening to music and chilling. But again, I hate to bash things because until you are in a position to make these things, make these changes, it's really like you can't really do anything because people are going to put out what they think is going to sell. And you know, sometimes you just want to please yourself, but there's no money in that. You know? Oh man. Anyway, okay. Let's see. I don't like how this is going. I want to do something with this arm. Let's see. I think. Oh no, I won't because I only have so much space. I'm going to take my. Let me see. Bum, bum, bum. I have some loose charcoal, and this stuff is a menace. It's a menace. It gets everywhere, but the effect that it has is amazing. Okay, the jacket portion, let me lift this up a little higher. Let me make sure that's in the screen here. There we go. Let's make some effects happen. This is the fastest way to cover your portrait is with the charcoal. Now it gets everywhere, so it's kind of like a double-edged sword. So I think I'm going to start on the bottom and then turn it upside down. That way the charcoal goes down and not all over the rest of the piece. But what I like to do is I'll put the charcoal down and it fills it in pretty fast. Better than if I tried to do it, you know, with a pencil or a charcoal pencil. And this is just graphite, charcoal graphite. And I will use it in certain places, like on the face. It erases very well, but it also gives like this softness to an image. But it's messier than all get out. Oh my gosh, it's so messy. Yeah, I kept telling myself, I'm not going to be like one of those channels where they bash things and make fun of things and you know, they do all this blah, blah, blah. And, you know, I let myself rant. It's like, preach, Kim, preach. Don't preach, just draw. Just color. Now this stuff comes in a big jar. I've had this jar for ages. Let's see, I want to say about many years. Oh my gosh. Because a little goes a long way. And what I'll do is I'll add this stuff and then I would creatively, stay down here, I would creatively erase so I have my highlights, or I'd add to it. But it definitely helps you to you know, get this stuff out quick. I usually use a bigger brush, but I couldn't find a, oh, I think I got one. And it falls kind of interesting too. But this stuff will pick up your fingerprints like nobody's business. So you got to be very careful on handling it after you've applied. If you don't go and what's the word? Add the fixative, it'll get all over everything. And I think I kind of like this triangle shape. I might keep that. I was playing with the idea of maybe wetting my brush a bit so that this stuff isn't as wispy. So we'll have her hands kind of come out of this darkness here. And then have her, let's see, I'm going to have to flip this in a second. But you can do the same thing if you don't have the loose powder. You can make your own loose powder by, let me finish working this in a little bit, and I'll show you how you can do that, and it'll be a little bit more controlled than what I'm doing right now. Okay, just working it in so that none of this stuff is going to fall off anywhere. Okay. This stuff is so messy. Okay. It's like just like a box of dirt. Okay. Let's see. Where is my... Oh, here it is. Okay. You get your sandpaper. You get your charcoal, and you just, and I did this yesterday with the graphite, but this is what you can do also if you don't have like the loose, and you don't need too much. You just have like a little scratch here, and then either with your blending stump or your paintbrush, just dip your blending stump in there, and you just go into the places where you need it darker, or you need a little bit more control, or you just want to add a little bit more. Let's see, like say I want it a little darker around the edges here where her thumb and fingers are. And that just adds a little bit more to this, and it gives you a little bit more control. And you just rub it on. Let's see. Like I want this side of her face to be a little darker than this side because this is where the light's hitting. And I gotta remember to throw a little bit of shadow in her eyes. So instead of like going directly on it with the charcoal, I'm using a little bit of charcoal here and there and adding it. I know it's darker right under here. And using the paintbrush, it adds a little bit more to your pictures. And then you can just keep going with it. I mean, it's just like you can blend it out a little bit more and give it a more softer tone. Okay, I'm about to turn this upside down because I don't want all the dust to fall onto her face. I worked too hard for this. Okay. Alrighty. I'm going to turn it upside down. And I'm going to adjust my camera so you can see what I'm doing. I apologize that it's so far away. Let me see if I can bring it closer. Okay. Okay, so I'll do it from right here and then I'll spin it again. Let's see. And nobody can see. Alright, let's try it again. Alright. Okay, I want this area. So I'm going to have to spin it again. Let's see if I can bring this. Ooh, I don't want to knock this over. Give me a second. I just need to readjust. There we go. Perfect. Okay, I'm just going to briefly throw some charcoal down down here. It'll probably be all over my pants. Okay, it's 6 o'clock. Crap. I meant to leave a little earlier so I can go get some more supplies from Walmart. But, you know, it is what it is. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this charcoal stuff. Oh, I see. That's what I didn't want to do. That's okay. I need to darken it up anyway. And it adds a lot to it, this loose charcoal. I am messier than heck, so... but maybe you'll be a little bit more with it. Yeah, this stuff cost about, I think it was $10. And it's General's brand loose graphite, I think that's what it is. Now, I would spread it with my fingers, but your fingers have oils on them. And it's just, you can leave fingerprints too. And that's not a bad way to sign your stuff either. I think I can sign with a fingerprint, but if I ever commit a crime, it's like, oh yeah, we just look at some of our old artwork and we'll just grab our fingerprint off of there. But what I'm thinking about doing is, let me see if I can get this to angle upwards a little bit. There we go. What I'm thinking about doing is going around her face, around her head, and leaving like this light area. But I got to get all this colored in dark first. And the paper that I'm using is called Bristol, and it's nice and heavy. It's like a heavier cardstock, It's recycled paper, what is it called? From what I understand, it's like the paper that I'm using is like recycled, so it's like it's all like smushed together, so it has its own little texture and stuff like that. But it's still, you can get it in like a smooth or a moderate textured type of paper. I love this paper. Usually I put baby oil on it and it changes the texture of this paper and it makes it nice and smooth, and Prismacolors and Crayolas, they just glide across the stuff. And then this stuff is really great for the skin on the portrait. It just adds a little something. And I think that's part of like the softness of the paintbrush. I think that's part of it as well. It just seems to bring it all together. Let's see, I could probably flip this to where it looks like it's right side up for you guys. There you go. Yeah, this just helps to cover up the paper really fast. And I kind of wish that there was something like this for crayons or Crayola, you know, where you want to cover up the paper really fast without using paint, but have like loose pencil. And I think I'll try that once and see if I can cover up a lot of area just by making like the dust. Because I know that if I take the crayons, I can, you know, when the sharpenings, if I rub those around really well, I could get, you know, the residual type of thing. Anyway, I kind of like how it's got this mottled effect, kind of like marbled effect. Okay, I've got about a little bit less than 10 minutes here. And then I gotta hit the happy trail. And you don't have to use a paintbrush, you can always use a blending stump. And I'm wondering how different this would have been if I would have used a colored pencil instead. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. But I haven't done a pencil portrait in so long. That was just in black and white and graphite. Now, I've done other pictures with this stuff. What I've done is I was doing pet portraits, and when I needed to color the background, I would go ahead and put paw prints, either in the pet's name. If they died, I'd make it into a halo, or I'd have the paw prints going to heaven, you know, like going off the page. And then some of them I've had like the paw prints would lead to the picture. So it'd be like dark, and then as it lightened up, there would be paw prints. Cat prints, dog prints. So now I'm just going to work some more of this stuff in. And what I kind of wanted is that I wanted her face to be the more important thing. That was the main subject, since my daughter loves this character, the singer, for her singing ability, but it's like, how do you bring her singing ability into it? So I'm using a combination of musical notes coming from the barrels of the gun, and when I get ready, I'm going to start erasing. That way it looks like little wispy musical notes coming from the gun. Now, part of me likes this kind of edge right here of the gun, that it's not right here, that it's not colored or covered with this dark color. I'm wondering if I want to leave that off and just leave it white, and just kind of have like maybe have it kind of taper. Now, I'm not going to see any of this down at the bottom here. All this area down where I am rubbing is all going to be covered up by a mat. So I'm just being, I guess, consistent in case she doesn't keep the frame. I think for now I'll leave the hand alone, just for now. And it adds, I guess, a little bit more drama to it, I guess, if I don't cover this area right here. But it's kind of off balance. Now I'm just working some more of this in here. Alrighty, I have to get going. If you got anything out of this, please let me know. Like and subscribe if you like. I'll be doing more t-shirt videos and whatnot like next month. So be sure to tune in next month. I'm gonna have I'm gonna dedicate that month more to doing my doing some fan art on a jacket and on fabrics and stuff like that. And I'm thinking about setting up a Patreon so that I can give away some of the stuff that I create on the channel, because in my house it's just the stuff is piling up and I can only wear so much. I can only carry bags so often, you know, type of thing. And I'd like to give it to people who appreciate my art and who've taken the time to sit down and watch my videos, comment, and you know, and subscribed. So that's something I'm playing with in my mind right now. Yeah, my videos aren't monetized because YouTube has a rule that you have to have at least 1,000, I believe 1,000 subscribers before you can monetize. So I'm trying to get to 1,000 to throw, you know, a little bone to advertisers and things like that. The fabulous people who watch my videos. But don't feel like you're under any obligation at all to subscribe or anything like that. I just like it. It's an ego thing, and it just, I don't know, it's kind of like letting me know that, you know, I'm doing something right, and, or that somebody's getting some kind of thing out of it. So if you have any questions, if you like more of one video than another, like if you want to see more of this type of video, or if you like to see more of the coloring videos where I use crayons and Crayola colored pencils, let me know. I'd truly appreciate it. I'm going to do a speed tutorial, oh sorry, not tutorial, but a speed drawing of this version here. I'll probably try to upload that later on tonight if I have the energy here. Climb off my bike and then pass out. Alright. I'm just going to add a little bit more. Now this is graphite, so it does take a bit for it to, it might not get black. It'll get dark, but it won't get black. So this is like the deepest, darkest shade of gray I can possibly get. Alrighty, okay, so I'll add the musical notes tomorrow and fix it up a little bit more, and this picture will be done. I'll just go ahead and have it framed. Nothing fancy, just a little nice Walmart frame. I'll sign it. I'm so bad about signing my stuff. You know, some artists have like these really gorgeous signatures, and me, signature sucks. But hey, it's me. It's me, it's Mario. Okay, I gotta call it. Okay. Alright. Okie dokie. So here's where we are. Let me find the lid to this thing before I do anything else. This stuff is nasty. It's nasty. Okay. And I'll put this in front so that you guys can get a good view of it. But this is where I am so far, almost done. And this is Syd the Kyd. Alright. In black and white and graphite and charcoal. Loose graphite. Guns are kind of wonky. And then I'm just gonna have like some musical notes like waft up into the top here. So I'm gonna make this as dark as I can possibly make it, and I'm going to call it for the day. Thank you guys so much for stopping by, and I'll speed this up so that if you missed any of this, you'll be able to catch it in the speed drawing video. Okay? Well, I'll catch you guys tomorrow, and probably same bat time, same bat channel. Take care. Bye-bye.